This tape has been copyrighted. Any duplication or reproduction without written consent is prohibited.
And Investor Daily has spent years analyzing leaders and successful people in all walks of life. Most have 10 traits that, when combined, can turn dreams into reality. Each day we highlighted one. I guess this was a series or something like that. But this is excellent. The first thing is how you think is everything. It's really critical. I'm going to talk a lot about how you think is everything. Always be positive. Think success, not failure. Beware of negative environment. And I think that's really critical. One of the things that I did when I really started having a quest to become successful is I made a conscious decision to associate only with people that thought, success kind of thought process. I only associated people that were positive. If they were negative, I eliminated everybody that was negative from my life. Everybody. I just absolutely made a conscious decision that I was not going to associate with anybody that was negative anymore. And unfortunately, a lot of those people happen to be in my family. And I didn't. What I did is I didn't stop associating them, of course, but I really limited the time that I spent, and I controlled the situation. For example, because people will be negative around you if you allow them to be negative around you. They won't be negative because people that are negative don't even know that they're negative. They think that that's normal. They think that's the way that you are, that the way people talk, and you need to fix them. Like, for example, I might have somebody say something to me, and I question everything. They might say, well, everybody's out to screw you. I say, that's not true. How can you make a blanket statement like that? The truth is, very few people are out to screw you. Most people are very nice and very helpful. That's been my experience. What are you talking about? See, I would actually call them on that and make them think about that ridiculous statement they made, because they'll just say stuff like that, or they'll say the government's this or that, or everybody that has money is the way they got it is they screwed everybody to get there, or they'll make blanket statements that are negative that absolutely have no basis in reality, except maybe it's something they heard somewhere else, or maybe they had one bad experience so that they. It's just like somebody said PFS doesn't work, or if maybe they had a bad experience with a PFS rep, right? And so that they say now all the people in PFS are crooks, right? Well, that's not true. You might have run into one that was an idiot, right? But that doesn't make everybody in that group that, right? Just like you might have gone to any kind of store, one bad experience with one individual doesn't make it so. Okay, like I was saying Tuesday night. You listen to the media. One of the things that I would really suggest you do is limit the amount of stuff the news that you watch on television. Matter of fact, there's no point in even watching. I do not watch the news. Okay, I never watch the news. I still don't watch the news. And you know what? It hasn't hurt me much, has it? You don't need to know that a kid got shot and that there was 2 murders and there was an accident on the freeway and all that. What is that going to do for you? What does that help you with? What does that add to your life? Absolutely nothing. There's nothing you can do about it anyways. So why do you want to pollute your mind with those kinds of that kind of negativity? That cannot help you. So you need to eliminate CNN and all that stuff, okay? That's one thing I would do if I was you, okay? The newspaper, if you're going to read the newspaper, read the sports section, read the business section, and that's about it, okay? Maybe the real estate section or whatever, but I would not read the front page. I wouldn't do that. There's no point in doing it because, again, there's nothing you can do about it, all right? Not now. If you want to do that after you're financially independent, I think you should devote every ounce of energy, extra time you have towards figuring out a way to get you and your family financially independent. That's what you should devote your time to right now. When you get financially independent, you've already set up your family forever. Then go, if you want to be negative, if you want to go do all that stuff, go do it at that point, but not before, because it can't help you. The one thing that's a natural, it's a law, it's a universal law, is that negativity repels and positive attracts. That's a law. You can't fight that law. Okay, so you're in the business of wanting to attract people, aren't you? Okay, so does it make sense at any time to be negative if you're trying to attract someone else? No, it doesn't. You know how it feels like when you're talking to someone that's really negative? All of us have a friend or a relative that just, as soon as they start talking, it's like garbage comes out of their mouth, right? Just like, blah, they're throwing up all over you, right? And about 10 or 15, 20 minutes later, you feel tired. You literally feel drained, okay? And there's a reason, because that negativity is taking energy away from you. That's not hocus pocus. That's the real thing, okay? That's the reason you feel like that. That's the reason it's so critical that you manage your thought process, he says right here, and you manage what you say. And you can control that. All right, you can control that. You need to stop yourself when you start thinking, well, if I go on this appointment, they're probably going to say no. They're probably not going to be interested. They're probably, if I talk to them about the business, they're probably going to reject me. You got to stop that process. It doesn't mean you're not going to think those thoughts. We all think those thoughts, but you say, Hector, that's crazy to think that way. You don't know that. This guy might be been the last 2 or 3 years looking for an opportunity. This guy might be, he might lead you to somebody that might want to do the business. This could be one of the most positive appointments that you've ever had in your life. There could be something good come from this. So you need to change the way you're thinking about what you're doing, because that's what's going to allow you to do that thing. That's how I've always thought. And I change myself right in the middle. If I'm thinking negative or I'm thinking pessimistically, I'll say stop. Literally say it. Stop, Hector. And then I would put in the thought that should be there. And I would just do that to myself. I would always do that automatically as I'm thinking, right? Because you're thinking thoughts. As I'm talking to you right now, you're thinking and taking in this information. You're going, that's a bunch of crap. Or you're thinking, oh, that makes sense. Or you're thinking whatever you're thinking, right? Okay? But the fact is, that's what I did, and what ends up happening, I've trained myself to think a certain way. And the main reason I'm so successful in business is because I have trained myself to think that way. That's the number one reason. I'm not smarter than anybody in this room. There's some of you that are much more intelligent, have much more on the ball than I have, okay? Except you think crappy, okay? Your thought process isn't good. You think negativity instead of thinking possibility. And and I don't mean Pollyanna, that everything's going to work out perfect if I just have a good attitude. That's not true either. You must act. You must work on things. You must work on yourself. There's a lot of work that takes place in that thing, but you can do that. And it takes time. It takes literally years. If you're going to be really successful, it's going to take you years. It's going to take you 5 years or 10 years or 12 or 15. I don't know, okay? It took me a long time. From the point I decided I was going to be successful, I was going to be wealthy, that was in 1979. That was the point where I consciously said, I'm going to be wealthy. I'm going to do whatever it takes to find out what wealthy people do, how they think, how they act, and I'm going to start implementing those kinds of thought processes and actions in my life. I made a conscious decision to do that. You have the opportunity to make that same decision right now. I did that in 1979. My average income from 1979 to 1985 was somewhere around $30,000 to $40,000 a year. Okay, that was my average income. So you can see that from 1979 to 1985, that's 6 years. Okay, in 6 years, after I had decided I was going to become wealthy, my average income was around $40,000 a year during that time period. Woo, I had a lot of success in that period of time, right? 6 years. And I was working hard. I was reading every book, going to every seminar, doing everything I could possibly with every extra time I had, listening to tapes in my car instead of listening to the radio. I was doing all those things during that time period. And then I didn't start making some money, which was until 1986. And that year I only made $86,000. So if you add that year, the first 7 years of my quest to be financially independent, I averaged probably between $40,000 and $50,000 a year. That's not a lot of money, with a goal of being financially independent. But the next year, 1987, I made $409,000. And then the next year after that, I made $855,000. My income went from $7,000 or $8,000 a month to $30-some thousand a month to $70,000 a month. So I really didn't make money until my 8th year after I made the decision and after I went to work like a nut, right, trying to make it happen. You see what I'm saying? There is no such thing as an overnight success. Most of you work hard for a month, you let go for a month, you work hard for a month, you're back and forth, you never make a consistent commitment, which is why you never get anything going. That's the number one reason why you never get momentum going. You never let the numbers work for you because you're in and out all the time. And you're not going to get rewarded, right? You're not going to get rewarded for being inconsistent. If you had an employee that showed up to work every third day, what would you do with that employee? You'd fire them. Guess what? That's you right now. That's what you do. You show up to your business, because this is your business, you don't work for me. You understand you do not work for me, right? You have your own business. You can't say, well, Hector doesn't. Hey, it's not me. You're working for yourself. You ain't working for me. I'm already financially independent, and I have my own business, and you have your own business. It's why one of the things you got to start realizing. If you were paying you a salary right now, would you be excited about paying you a salary right now with the kind of focus, the kind of commitment that you have to your business? You wouldn't. You wouldn't pay you anything. You'd fire yourself. Think about it. But then on the other hand, you're going, I don't understand why I'm not successful. I can't understand why it's not going better. Guess what? You got to show up to work every day to get paid. Okay? Not every third day, not every fourth day, not when you feel like it. You know what I'm talking about? Okay? That's really important. Okay? Super important. Just like you show up to your job, those of you who have jobs every day, you don't show up because you want to. You show up because you know if you don't, you won't get your paycheck at the end of the week or month, right? And eventually you won't have a job. And some of you are hearing this and you don't like hearing it because it's truthful. That's another big thing you need to get clear, okay? People don't like you to tell the truth because then it exposes what they're doing or not doing. They don't want to hear it. That's why when you try to do an F&A for somebody, a lot of people fight you because they don't want to know the truth. They rather be oblivious. That way they don't have to feel the pain, and that way they don't have to act either. That's the reason people fight you when you're trying to help them with the F&A, is if they look at it, then they've got to actually look at their deficiencies, and that nobody wants to do that. Okay? So don't take it personal that they don't want to get together with you and all that. I never took it personal. I knew what was happening there. I knew what the thought process was, so I just stayed after them because I cared more about helping them than how they treated me initially. More of you care about how you feel than really helping people. If you really cared about helping people, you would be way more persistent than you are. Way more after it than you are. You just would. Okay, 2, decide upon your true dreams and goals. Write down your specific goals and develop a plan to reach them. That's another thing, and I asked you to do that when we were going to have one-on-ones. We haven't done that because of a time issue I've had. I've been cleared up. But you should have a plan. You know how I talk about every Tuesday night, if you were going to drive from California to New York, you'd have a plan and all that? You know what? Most of you don't have a plan on what you're doing in PFS. And you're waiting for me or somebody else to put that plan together for you. You know what? You're going to be waiting a hell of a long time. You got to put that plan together. You need to decide what it is you're going to do, what you're willing to do to make your dreams or whatever come true for you. You're the person that's in control of your life. No one else is going to do that for you. It's just like prospecting. People don't prospect. They're hoping people are actually going to come to their house and knock on the door and say, hey, listen, I'm interested in your business and I want some insurance and mutual funds. That is never going to happen, okay? You're going to be waiting until now to the end of time. You have to go after it. You do, all right? You can't wait for it. Take action. Goals are nothing without action. Don't be afraid to get started now. Just do it. This is really, really important, okay? And that you understand this concept here. Let me show you what I mean, because this is a big, big deal. When you understand this, you're going to do much, much better, okay? If you want something to become physical reality, in other words, you have a dream, a new house, a new car, financial independence, whatever the dream is for you. I mean, everybody has different ones, okay? Like when I first started in the business, one of my dreams was to have a home. I like the desert. I like Palm Springs, that area. One of my dreams was to have a home on a golf course in the Palm Springs area. That was a dream of mine. When I was a kid, when I was playing in college, I played tennis, and we used to go out to the desert a lot and play. And during the tournament, we go out there. They have a tournament every year out there, and I'd go out there and spend a lot of time there. And when we go out there, I was like 18, 19, 20 years old, right? We go out there, and when we were out there, we would go to the country clubs. They always have model homes at all the country clubs. If you ever want to do something really neat that'll sell yourself the dream, you ought to just go out to Palm Springs, take a Sunday afternoon, go out there, and go to the different country clubs, get a list of the country clubs that have model homes. There's almost all of them do, because they're trying to sell them, right? They're gorgeous, and they're on the golf course. They're always the best locations. So we would do that, and we'd go look at them. And I remember that even back then, I mean, it was like a home back then was probably $100,000 or $150,000 on a golf course, okay? Which seemed like, and a golf membership, I remember asking, what does a membership cost here? It was at La Quinta Country Club. And they said it was $30,000, and I was with a buddy of mine, and I went, oh my God, can you imagine that? $30,000. There's no way I could ever afford in my life. That's just ridiculous, right? $30,000. Seemed like so much money, you know what I'm talking about? That it's no fathomable way for a human being to do this. That's what I thought, right? And then until I started making a decision to become financially independent, right? And but I would go there because I wanted to keep selling myself the dream of that's what I wanted. That's what was the dream of mine. Like you all have dreams, right? You know what you want, okay? You got to go look at what you want, think about what you want, have pictures of what you want. You got to be thinking about it because what you think about constantly is what happens in your life. That's why it's so important not to be negative. Because if you're thinking about negative, you attract it. That's what you do, okay? So what happened is that over time, I got myself thinking about how to put together a plan about doing that, you know? And then I started looking for ways to make money. I looked at a lot of different things. You know, PFS was about the 5th thing I tried before I found something that worked for me, you know? And then that's what it was. So go sell yourself the dream. Put together a plan like that. You know, you're probably thinking way too small right now. And what seems so outlandish, you know, at some point will seem funny to you. All right? I just bought my third home in the desert. The latest home I just bought was $1,900,000 on a golf course. It's incredible. You should see this house. It's unbelievable. That's my second home. And I thought I couldn't afford, and the membership was $125,000. Okay? And then back when I was a kid, I thought $30,000 and $100,000 was no way. You can't do it. You see what I'm saying? And it's all because of the way I thought. It's all because of the way you think. Your life is exactly a sum total of your thoughts. That's what it is right now. So what do you need to do? You need to work on the way you think. How you do that is you need to start associating with the right people. One of the reasons it's important to come to meetings like this, one of the reasons it's important to read a lot of the books that I'll recommend, one of the reasons it's important that you start listening to the right kind of tapes and start indoctrinating, if you want to put it that way, that's not a negative term, yourself in the positive way, right? And realize that your quest to be successful is a very positive thing. It has a lot of positive ramifications. My quest to be successful created all those successful people because I had a dream to go have a house in the desert and a lot of other things, right? Because I went after that dream and I acted on it. A lot of other people got swept up in my draft and became successful as a result of my quest. Even if my motives were not to help other people, it did anyways. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't really even matter what your motives are. Because if you do it, you're still going to help people. You think like Bill Gates, for example. Bill Gates, you think his motive was to help the world? It wasn't. It was to become successful. As a result, he created Microsoft. Microsoft has created a multitude of millionaires, multimillionaires. It's created jobs all around the world. It's unbelievable the wealth and prosperity that Microsoft has created in this world today because of a guy named Bill Gates who was a motivated guy. You see? So even if his motivation was not to do all the philanthropic things that he's now starting to do or has been doing for a little while and it's going to get even bigger, that's what happened from his quest to be successful. So don't ever feel guilty. Don't ever feel bad about trying to be successful because guess what? If you become successful, is your family going to benefit? Not only your immediate family, but your parents, right? Nieces, nephews, all kinds of people. I'm taking my whole entire family, 40 people, to the Bahamas in June for a week. And I'm paying for everything. Okay? I took them to Hawaii a year and a half ago. Paid for everything, right? So are they benefiting from my success? Absolutely. They're getting a paid vacation to a fantastic place, right? Because I become successful. You see what I'm saying? So don't you feel uncomfortable about your quest to be successful because ultimately when you make it, if you're the right kind of person, other people are going to benefit significantly, I hope, okay? And even if that's not your quest, they will anyways. Because you know what? You'll buy things like cars and bigger houses and all kinds of things. And the people that build those things and manufacture those things, they'll have jobs because of you. Right? Housekeepers, staff, all those kinds of things will happen. It's a good thing, right? If you're an employee, you can't do much for the world, honestly. You just can't. You got to do something that affects a larger number of people. Okay, take action, though. So here's the key. These are the steps of creation. What do we want to create? A great life, right? We want to create financial independence. And if you're looking at this and saying, what is he talking about? Just listen, okay? Just listen. Because right now, your brain got you where you're at right now. Are you excited about that? Okay? Your thought process? If you're not excited about that, then you need to pay attention. Okay? First thing is thought. It's the key. What you think about. And let me just tell you, all of these things are energy. Right? Thought is energy. Do you know that they can actually measure the energy off thought? I don't know if you know that or not, but they can. Thought is energy. It goes from your mind out. And that's why, if you ever walked in a room and you could feel like stuff, right? Or you're around somebody, you can feel like either good or bad, right? You know why? Because the thoughts are sending energy. People have energy. All of us do, right? You ever notice, like, the meeting's going on, and then when I get up on front of the stage, you ever notice the energy change in the room when I come up? Huh? It's not an accident, okay? Because thoughts are energy. Okay? So the first part of creation is what you think about. Every single thing that you see that you're a part of initially was a thought. The chair you're sitting in, the room you're sitting in, the roof, the every single thing, the car you drove in, before it became what it is, someone thought about it. Right? Everything. Every single thing. That's how things come to fruition. The first part is thought. Right? Like if those of you that are married, the first time you saw your mate, many of you went, I think I'd like to be with that person, at least for a night, right? Whatever, okay? So you thought about that, right? And then what did you do? Maybe you started to talk. That's the second part. You start talking about what you want, right? First you think about it, then you talk about it. Okay? What I'm trying to do right now, I thought I want to get recruiting going, okay? That's a big deal because I know recruiting is a key to your future, my future, everyone's future. If we don't recruit, we have no future in this business. We just don't. Okay? None of you do. So I'm thinking we need to get recruiting going because I've already got mine, but you know what? My guys haven't got theirs, and I want to help them get there. So I want to start working on getting people to start thinking about recruiting, learning how to recruit. So I started thinking about that. That's how I came up with those things we handed out like a couple of weeks ago, right? Okay? All that stuff. I started thinking about it. Have you noticed on our calls on Sunday, I talk about that. I'm talking about it every week, okay? So I'm talking about it. I wrote it down, right? This thing that you guys all got this handout, I actually wrote it down. So I thought about it, I talked about it, I wrote it down, and what I'm doing right now is acting. Okay, this is my part of acting because I'm teaching this, okay? Now, some of you have already acted on some of this stuff like Mel. Mel's done a tremendous job recently of acting on the stuff we're talking about, right? So acting is actually doing something, actually making an attempt to talk to an individual about your business, about what you're doing, okay? You can have this in abundance, but if you don't have this, it can never become a physical reality what you want. If you do not act, if you don't have action behind the thought and the talk or the writing or the plan, it can't happen for you. I don't care what it is. Like if you want to buy a car, okay, and you think, I want a new car, I want a new whatever, Lexus, okay? First you think about it, then as you're thinking about it, guess what happens? You see that car at every single stoplight you come to. You notice that? All right? It's because you're thinking about it. It was always there before, but until you start thinking about it, you don't see it. Okay, that's why thinking about recruiting is so important, because before you start thinking about it, if you're not thinking about it, you won't see everybody around you as a potential recruit. See? It's important that you think about it so that you start seeing everyone as a potential recruit into your business. Then all of a sudden, you start seeing all these people that could be in your business. See? So you look at you start thinking about it, then you start talking maybe to your wife or whatever. Hey, I really like that car. I'd love to have one of those cars. You know, what can we do? And you start having to put a plan together. How can I get that? Maybe if I get rid of this bill, I could afford it. Or if I work a little overtime. And, you start thinking about how to get it. And then one day, you walk into the dealership. You're ready. You have cash in your checkbook or whatever, right? And you're ready to go negotiate for the car of your choice. That's the day you take action. The day you take action is the day you take possession and make that thing a physical reality because you thought about it, you talked about it, and then you acted on it. Folks, that's your life. That's how your life works. All of our lives work that way. So the beauty of that is that you can And you have the power, every one of you have the power to design your life, whatever you want it to be. Now, you may want to keep giving up that power to other entities, the government, your boss, your wife, your husband, your daddy, your mommy, all those kinds of things, and tell them they have control over your life. But the truth is you're the one that has control, and only you have control. And you can decide whatever you want it to turn out like. You can decide that. And it's never too late. I don't care if you're 25 or 95. It doesn't matter. Because changing your thoughts is under all of our control. Isn't that exciting? And you can determine your life. That is the most. When I understood that concept, it was thrilling to me. Because then I said, all I have to do is act on it, think about it, put a plan together and act on it. I can have it? Yes. And then that's exactly what I did. Okay? And voila, I have a business that I have. No accident. None of what you see that I have today is an accident. It's all planned out, all thought about, all acted on. Every part of it. So don't you ever think that people to become successful are lucky. It's not true, okay? It's not true. So that's the key. So the key is, this is the key for you all right? This is where I see there's the biggest deficiency in your career so far. The thing that I was really great at doing, just if you want to know what a successful person did, I took massive action. Massive action. Not partial action. Massive. Write that down. Massive action. What is massive action? Massive action isn't making 2 or 3 calls a week. Massive action is making 30 and 40 and 50 and 60 and 80 calls a week. Massive action is not talking to a couple people a week. Massive action is talking to 30 and 40 and 50 people a week. Okay? Massive action is prospecting like crazy. It's pulling out all the stops, putting down a list of every single person that you know, that you used to know, that your brother knows, that your sister knows, that your parents knows, that your friends know, putting a list together of everybody, even if they don't know you personally, they may know of you through another person. The thing I did, I had 6 brothers and sisters, and I grew up in Chino. I was somewhat fortunate, and we had a good reputation in the community. My family, I come from a good family, okay? So what happened for me is I knew a good number of people. I grew up in Chino. I went to school at the University of Laverne, so I knew some people, right? I had a pretty good circle of influence, and I have always been a person of my word, so I had good credibility. It's very important to be a person of your word, right? Because credibility is really all we have. So when I called people and said I want to show them something, most people didn't fight me. Not to mention I had the technique, even if they did, to get them to see me, okay? Because I made a choice to master Hopkins, right? I made a choice, a conscious choice. I thought about it, I talked about it, and I actually did it. Okay? So I did that, and then what I did is I got with all my brothers and sisters, and I said, listen, Gilbert, I want a list of all your friends. Hey, Sylvia, I want a list of all your friends. Roberta, I want a list of all your friends. I want a list of everybody's friends. They're friends. They don't really know me. Maybe they know they have a younger brother, Hector, or something like that, but they don't know me. And I'd call them up, and I'd say, hey, Mary, this is Hector Lamarck. You're friends with my sister, Sylvia. I'm her younger brother. Listen, I know you don't know me, but I'm building a business right now. I'm really excited, and I wanted to talk to you about it. She said that you were the kind of person that if you could save money and improve your financial situation, you'd be open to exploring anything like that. Is that true? And they'd say, well, yeah, I guess so. Well, listen, I want to sit down with you. Don't worry. There's no pressure. If you see something you like, you can take advantage. If you don't, not a worry. I'm just trying to get in front of as many people as I can. And at the worst case of the possible scenarios, I'm going to give you some information that's going to be very, very helpful to you financially. When can we get together? That's what I did. And I just started calling people. Did everybody give me an appointment? No. But you know what? Enough did. And I called them. I acted, see? I acted. I didn't look at the list and go, whew, that looks like a good list, you know? I actually made the calls, which is where a lot of you are deficient. And I know why, because there's a lot of fear, okay? We're going to try to diminish that fear today. Okay. Never stop learning. Go back to school or read books, get training, and acquire skills. Have you ever heard that before? Huh? It's all I ever talk about, right? Because learning is everything. Gaining more knowledge. The reason I was talking to Doug Hartman, I'm a second to Doug Hartman. Doug Hartman's, I'm a second, right? Anyways, I was talking to him the other day, and about that learning situation. And I told them, I said, the thing is that people that become really successful, they go to school and all that, but that's not really where you learn. You learn in all the time you put after. If I had to take a test I have a degree in psychology. I have a degree. That's my degree. I was going to be a clinical psychologist. That was what I was going to do. Okay, I have a degree from the University of Learn in psychology. As a matter of fact, okay, if I had to take a test right now on psychology on the different theories of Maslow and you name the different, Jung and all the different great psychologists of time, I would fail that miserably. I have no idea what their theories are anymore. I've forgotten. Honestly, I couldn't pass it. And I have a degree in that. And I'm not embarrassed to say that, because what I found out is that doesn't mean anything in the real scheme of life, right? So after saying that, they asked me last week to be the keynote speaker for the graduation commencement exercise at the University of Learn on May 30th. How's that? So I'm going back. I'm the key speaker for the university I graduated from, because of the success I've had in the psychology field. No, it's because on a bet I couldn't tell you anything about. How's that? Okay. Because what I learned about was even more important. It was about people, about how to get myself to move, about how to manage me, right? See, your biggest problem will be in your life is managing yourself. That's your biggest. You're your best friend and your worst enemy. If you can't manage yourself, you're not going to be able to manage a whole lot of anything else. Okay? You got to learn how to do that. So, never stop learning. Be persistent and work hard. Success is a marathon, not a sprint. It's very important. One of the things that I don't see happening a lot here in the Space Shop is unbelievable work ethic. I see some work. I'm not saying anybody's lazy here, but I don't see the kind of work ethic it takes to make big money here. I just don't. I haven't seen anybody really do that, okay, to the extent. Not the way I worked. The way I worked was like a nut, okay? And I'll just tell you. But I'm telling you, you can't get there without that. If you're going to work whenever it suits you, if you're going to work whenever you feel good, if you're going to work, every fourth day, you'll have a little success, you'll make a little money, you'll do okay, but you're not going to make big money. You know why? You'll never get anybody to follow you. Because people will have confidence if they see that you have this incredible, because the work ethic that you have is a sign of commitment. That's what it is. And if people don't see you having that commitment, okay, they're not going to commit to you. See? That's why you cannot afford to miss meetings. You say, well, Hector, you're not here all the time. I'm not where you're at, okay? I'm going to tell you, the first 12 years or 13 years of the business, I never missed a meeting. For 12 straight years. There's no way you would never find me here on a Monday morning, a Tuesday night, a Saturday morning. I was here every day. I was the first one here and the last person to leave for 12 straight years. That's what I was. And people knew that if they came here to those meetings, that I would be here. It was like a guarantee. Unless I was in the hospital, I was here. And so what happens, it's like if you go to, those of you that go to church, right? If you were showing up to church on Sunday, right? And every now and then the pastor of the church just wasn't there. He just decided, I don't feel like going in today. What would happen to the congregation? Would it stay together? Whoo! It'd be like they'd be going somewhere else to find another church in about 2 seconds, right? See, but you are that pastor in your business right now. And when you're not here, they come, they show up, they see you not here, you're basically done, okay? They're not coming back, they're not going to be here. So when you think, oh, it's not important if I'm there or not, you don't know how wrong you are. Because they know, and they're making their decision, oh man, I'd really like to go full time. And then they see you not be here, and then they're thinking, oh my God, my upline who's really doing better than me is not even here. They don't think it's important to be here. Maybe I don't need to be here. Then all of a sudden you wonder why your meeting attendance suffers. That's one of the main reasons. You cannot miss meetings. I'm telling you, you can't. If you do, there's no way you're ever going to grow this business. Not possible. I've never seen anybody be successful that misses meetings. Never. I've been doing this for 15 years, you guys. I'm not saying you have to be here. I'm just saying there's no chance of being successful, very successful, if you do miss. Because you're making a statement of your level of commitment to your business when you're not showing up. That's what you're saying. You're even saying it to yourself. See? It's not important. I'm not going to show up. I've got something more important. Hey, you know what? On Tuesday night between 7 and 10 and Saturday between 8 and 11 or 12, there's nothing more important other than something happens to your family or something like that. There's nothing more important. Those are business building periods of time that you can't afford to miss for any reason, unless it's your health or something, or somebody in your family's direly ill or something like that. Otherwise, it's part of the discipline factor, folks. It's part of the thing that allows you to feel worthy of being successful. You see? It's one of those things, it's what it does for you. When you have that kind of commitment, you start feeling worthy of it. A lot of why we aren't successful is our sense of worthiness is not there. Okay? Be persistent. Learn to analyze details. Get the facts, all the input, learn from your mistakes. I think that's really important. Analyze everything. Pay attention to everything. The more you know, the better, okay? The more information you have in your brain when you're out in the appointments. Folks, I tell you, you can't read enough, you can't know enough. One of the things that's been very, very helpful in my career is that I know about a lot of stuff, okay? I just do. You talk to me on any subject, I know something about it because I read a lot, okay? So it ends up happening when I meet people. I'll give you an example. I played golf twice this week. One week I played with a guy that owns one's a plastic surgeon. One guy was owned a bunch of those little kiosks in malls, and in a mortgage business. And the other guy owns a winery and some other stuff, right? And I was talking to these guys, and I knew about every one of their businesses. I knew a bunch about plastic surgery. I've read about that stuff because someday I might need it. Okay. And I've read a lot about, I just know about it. I just read. I read articles in magazines and books and stuff like that. And I knew about the wine business because I've been up to Napa 4 or 5 times and been on the tours. And I like red wine. And I know about that stuff. And I knew about, the kiosk business. I was in the retail business, so I know about retail and how that kind of works. And I just know about it. So I'm talking to them and I'm asking them questions. I'm asking them intelligent questions because they know what the hell I'm doing, right? They know that I know what I'm talking about. And it changes people's perspective of you completely. When they know that you know what you're talking about, your esteem goes up like crazy. When you're ignorant, okay? You're not going to get a lot of people following you when you're ignorant. That's why reading is so important. I can't emphasize that enough, okay? Don't be afraid to innovate. Be different. Oh, wait, this is 7. Focus your time and money. Don't let other people or things distract you. Focus your time and money. Don't let other things distract you. Okay? This is the way you have to be. I used to you do a talk like this all the time. When I was on it, like really, really on it, trying to build my business where you guys are at right now, I had blinders on. Total blinders. I didn't look this way or that way. Everything, if it didn't relate to what I was trying to do, I was very one-dimensional. Okay? Which I don't think you need to be the rest of your life, but for a period of time, in order to accomplish what you want to accomplish, you need to be one-dimensional. You just need to, okay? At some point, if you want to be diversified, that's fine, but not until you become successful. So I was like this. People would talk to me about other stuff. I don't want to know about that right now. I want to know about how can we get our business going, who I can talk to grow my business, and that sort of thing. You need to be one-dimensional for a period of time. It's like anybody that does something great. Like right now, my son is going to be an actor, okay? He's working on it. He just got his first part in a play. He had his headshots done. And this kid is like the most disciplined, focused kid you've ever met in your life. I'm telling you, he's unbelievable, okay? And he's working like crazy right now, preparing himself. He went out on his own and he hired a singing coach and a voice coach. He applied for another method of teaching. He has his classes that he takes at the university. He's in an acting program. Then on top of that, he's taken another thing called the Meisner method, which is a really, if you're in that industry, it's a very well-known method of acting. He got into this other course and got selected to be in that because you have to get selected and approved. So he's in that program. He's working like a crazy person. Every time I talk to him, he said, "Dad, I read this book on this, and I read this book on that, and I read this book on how to get an agent. I read this." And every time I talk to him, he's reading something that's leading towards his career. I mean, he's amazing. And so now he's starting to have some success, right? And I told him the other day, I said, Dak, that is not an accident. You're having success because you're bringing that to yourself, because you're preparing yourself, so when the opportunity presents itself, you're ready for it. And now you have confidence because you know what you're doing, you know what's going on. You're not like out there in the dark. You actually know because you've done the work to know. And so I said, you are so far ahead of the curve, it's unbelievable right now. Plus, they ask that the students do like an X number of hours outside the classroom, work with somebody else, and he tells me, Dad, hardly anybody does it. He says, I do it with, you're supposed to do extra work. And no one does it. Just like we tell you should do this, and most of you don't read the books, and most of you don't do it. You leave here, and you don't do anything until you come back the next Saturday or the next Tuesday. And then you're going, Hector said I was going to be successful. Yeah, if you do some work, okay? If you actually work on it, put some time into it, and that's how you do it, right? Where did he learn that? That's right, because I hammered him about that. What are you doing? What are you doing to get better? What are you reading right now? I was on them all the time about getting better, okay? And as a result, their confidence level is going through the roof right now. And that confidence is what allows you to make an attempt, see? Some of you aren't making calls and making attempts because your confidence level is low. But the reason your confidence level is low is because you don't work hard on your technique and your knowledge base. If your knowledge base was up here, guess where at least your confidence would be here. But when you don't know anything, and if you don't know stuff, like some of you have been around here for 6 or 8 or a year or longer, and you don't know everything there is to know about securities. That's stupid. You're supposed to, by this time, know everything about that. You don't know everything about the loan business. You should know everything about the loan. If you've been here a year or 6 months or a year, you should know everything about the loan business. You should know everything about securities. You should know everything about everything. When do you learn that? In your car. Get some tapes. When you're home at night, read something. Know it. It costs you a fortune not knowing. You need to know. Well, I don't have time. Yes, you do. You just don't prioritize. You have time. You all have time. You don't work 24 hours a day. You probably work 6 to 8, 10 hours a day. If you include travel time, maybe it's 10, most of you. 5 days a week, so that's 50 hours. In a week, how many hours are there? Huh? Anybody know? 168, 168 hours, so like 50 out for work, okay? You take away these, so that leaves you with 118. You got to sleep, right? Let's say you sleep 8 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's what? 56, okay? So that leaves you with how much time then? Huh? 56 hours left, right? So what do you do with those 56 hours? What are you doing with them? Are you spending them, or are you investing them, or are you spending them foolishly? Because we all have time. Okay, it's just a matter of how you invest the time. You know how much you could get accomplished in 56 hours a week? In 30 hours a week. If you dedicated 30 hours a week to yourself and your business, you know how much you could learn and do in that period of time if you actually focused? Woo-hoo! You guys could. Hey, last month, Robert Raisy, you made $9,000 last month, right? Part-time. $9,000. How much actual work time did that involve? Where you're actually working, where you're in front of clients? 10 hours? Yeah. Why? Every one of you could do that. That's not like, did you kill yourself? Were you like, did they have to put you in a hospital at the end of the month? Huh? No. He's still here. He's breathing. See what I'm saying? It's just how you invest. You look at it logically and go, like today this meeting will be over or whatever, 11:30, okay? And then you got from, say, noon, you got to eat, right? Let's say 1 o'clock, okay? 1 o'clock to 9 o'clock. How many hours is that? That's like 8 hours, right? What's going to happen in that time period? What? Nothing? Waste? I don't know. What are you going to do with it? All of us are going to have that 9-hour, 8-hour time period, right? 7-hour time period. Going to class, good. Yeah, that's something you're working in the right direction. But what are you going to do? See, that, just ask yourself the question, what am I doing with the time that I have right now? The quality of your life is based on the quality of the questions you ask. I'm telling you right now. What are you asking of yourself? Focus your time and your money. Don't be afraid to be innovative or be different. Following the trend is a sure way to mediocrity. It's a sure way. hey, doing PFS is absolutely not following the trend. It's not a typical business job where you go and you have a salary and you show up to a place. It's totally weird. Okay, being in PFS is weird compared to what other thing you do right now, right? Because you know why? Because it doesn't have any boundaries. It's kind of like you can do whatever you want to do with it. You know what I'm saying? There's no guidelines. So what does that make you do now? It makes you think. See, you have to think here. See, your job, there's not a lot of thinking going on at your job because they tell you what they want you to do. They tell you when to be there. They tell you what you're supposed to do. They follow up and make sure you do it. You don't have a lot of creativity leeway generally, okay, in most jobs. Am I right? Okay? So then you like that. It feels comfortable because you don't have to think, right? You go to work and you just do it. Not a lot of thought going on there, okay? But see here, it's like, okay, what do I do now? What do I do next? But nobody's telling me what to do. Well, somebody tells me to do something. You can't do that, okay? You've got to think. You've got to really think. So, and it's weird. See, one of the things, when I started doing PFS, it was even more outside the box when I started doing it than it is today. Direct marketing is much more acceptable. It's still not totally acceptable, but much more today than it was 15 years ago, believe me. 15 years ago, when I was telling people what I was doing, they were laughing at me and thinking I was a nut. You're leaving your $50,000 job to do that thing? What's wrong with you, man? My family thought that. Everybody thought I was a nut to do this thing. They really did. And even today, because they're thinking inside the box. They're thinking in terms of what they've always been told it's a good job, get a career. Hey, I was having dinner with one of my best buds who's an attorney, right? And a lot of people think being an attorney is a neat thing. It's a nightmare. It's he hates it. And he's successful at it, folks. He makes pretty big money. He absolutely hates it. I said, Jan was complaining that sometimes I work too much, right? And I don't work, I'm on the phone a lot, but I don't have to be anywhere. I'm in my office I say, Frank, I'm in my office on Tuesdays from 7, I either get here between 7 and 8, right, Rob? Between 7 and 8, and I leave around, I'm usually the last one to leave on Tuesdays. I leave at 10, 10:30 or something like that, okay? And then I come on Saturdays, usually I get here at 9 when I'm in town, right? I'm not in town all the time. So when I'm in town, I get here at 9 generally, and I leave here maybe at noon. Okay, so we're talking 6 hours a week I'm in my office. And I do well, right? And he goes, you want to hear something sad? He goes, I go in 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning, and I generally work till 10 at night. Monday through Friday. Saturday, he has another business, a meat processing plant, and then on Saturdays, he works at that other business on Saturdays and does ties up the loose ends on Saturdays. And Sundays, he takes off. Yeah. I said, you need to get rid of that business. That's ridiculous, okay? And that's how he lives. Okay? He does well. He makes money, right? You would think, oh, he's successful and all that. And he is, but that is not exciting, right? Because if he is not there, his clients will go somewhere else, right? He said, I tried hiring he had at one point he had like 4 or 5 attorneys working for him and all that. But the problem with that is that all of his clients wanted to see him. And then they started going somewhere else. See, and it was a nightmare. Plus, there's all kinds of potential litigation and stuff. You make one little mistake, even if it's an innocent mistake, they sue you. He said, I was sued like 6 times. It's a nightmare, right? I hate it. Same thing with being a doctor. You think that's a prestigious position? That sucks. Anybody that wants to be a doctor is not thinking clearly, okay? Huh? Thank God they have them, okay, but if anybody that would want to do that, there's no life in being a doctor. That guy I played with the other day, right, he shot like 92 or something like that, you know, and he goes, I'm a doctor, you know. I said, in other words, because he's a doctor, he can't play golf because he's a doctor. He works all the time. Because if he's not there doing surgery, it ain't happening. There ain't no money coming in. You understand that? He takes a week off or 2 weeks off, his income stops. Not only does it stop, his overhead keeps going, but he makes no money, but he still has to pay for his staff, his lease on his building, and all that kind of stuff, right? How bad is that? That's nasty, okay? So what I'm saying is, but in our business, If I leave I was gone 24 days in the month of April. I don't know what I made, but about $250,000 probably, okay? And gone, all right? So why? Because I decided to build a business. Because I decided to recruit. So what I'm trying to do right now is get you to get excited about recruiting. I hope I'm doing that, okay, to get you to understand where you're at. So don't be afraid to be innovative and be different. Different is good. Weird, rich, normal, poor. Remember that, okay? Weird, rich, normal, poor. All the rich people that you know of, they're not normal, right? They're weird. What they do is weird, right? All the poor people, all the middle income people are all normal. You don't want to be that, okay? That's no good. Deal and communicate with people effectively. No person is an island. Learn to understand and motivate others. It's another big key, right? You can't build something great without other people. One of the key things you have to learn how to do is get people to like and trust you. If you can't get people to like and trust you, you can't grow a business, okay? Because if people don't like and trust you, they won't follow you. They won't, and they won't help you, all right? They just won't. One of the reasons I've been successful is I'm a nice guy. I mean, I like people like me, and people want to help me because I'm not a jerk. So if you're a jerk to people, guess what's going to happen? No one wants to help you. Not only do they don't want to help you, they sabotage you. So there's nowhere to go. You can't afford to be rude with people. You got to understand, in our business, your people are your clients. You all are my clients. You don't work for me. I work for you. I have to offer you value in training and a beautiful place to work and all the different things. I'm trying to offer value. Rob is part of the value base. He's fantastic. You know, Darlene and Roberta and Astrid and Christy and all that is value, right, that I'm adding to your existence, to your business, to help you grow your business, right? So, because I understand that I need to service you. You're my client. If I don't service you, guess where you go? You go somewhere else. There's plenty of other things to do, right? So if I'm not offering you service and value, you're just going to go somewhere else. Guess what? Your people, you've got to offer service and value, or they're going to go somewhere else. So as a leader, what are you doing to add value to your teammates? What are you learning that you could share with them to help them become more successful? What are you doing? Are you leaving that up to someone else, or are you taking the initiative? Very important. Be honest and dependable. Take responsibility. Otherwise, numbers 1 through 9 won't matter. Be honest and dependable. This is really, really good right here. This is excellent. Now, you see, because I've done so much of this, I took something I barely got a few minutes ago, right? And I just did a talk for a long time on something that I picked up a few minutes ago. It's completely impromptu, this talk I just gave right now. How did that happen? Because I've been preparing for 20 years, that's why. That's how that happened. That's where you need to get to. That's where you need to get to be able to do something like that, just from notes like this. You can do it. It's doable, I'm telling you. Totally doable. Okay, let me just share with you another. Everybody's seen or heard of the Millionaire Next Door. The Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right? This is a new book. This isn't mine. This is Joe Blake's. And where did you get this, Joe? Barnes and Nobles or? Amazon.com. Okay, Amazon.com. So you can go on the internet and get this, and it was probably like $10 or something? Huh? 15? Okay. Do they? Okay, B. Dalton. Either one. If you don't have a computer, then that would be where you get it. Okay, anyways, it's fantastic. But there's one section on the back that I just loved, okay? It's called the Quick Reference Guide to Wealth. I'm going to actually, Rob and I are going to put this into a presentation format. We're going to do a talk off this because it's really, really good. And I'll just share a couple of things. There's 22 points right here for the Quick Reference Guide. And it says, it's a subtitle. It says, Broke Masses, Successful Middle Class Investor, and Rich. And who? Broke masses, employees, successful middle class employees and self-employed, and rich business owners and investors. Then it has education. Broke masses, high school or college grad, successful middle investors, values education, often college graduate, attends course and seminars on investing. And the rich are values only street smart education, often acquired from peers and self-learned. So it goes to the whole thing. Major financial goal, broke masses to survive until next payday. middle class to build up significant net worth by age 55 or 65, and the rich is freedom, focus. Broke massive salary or hourly wage, middle class net worth, rich cash flow. It goes on, and this is advisors. This is key. This is 18. The broke friends and family. That's their advisors, right? Have you ever talked to somebody, let me talk to my dad, let me talk to my mom. Is your dad financially independent? Oh, no. Why would you want to talk to him then? About what? Okay? About this? About getting financially independent? Doesn't make any sense. Why would you talk to anybody that doesn't know, that's not there? If you're going to talk to someone, go talk to somebody that's done it, right? You want advice. Middle class investor, financial planners and accountants is their advisors. And the rich themselves, each other, coaches, and selected professionals. It's really true, too. I tell you, that's the truth. But this is a really, is it good? Huh? The title of the book is Cash Flow Quadrant. Robert Kiyosaki. Kiyosaki. This is the kind of stuff, so you want to start reading this kind of stuff because you want to change the way you think about money, the way you think about things. Because the way you think about money and things is going to dictate how you act, okay? You need to change the way you think. I was talking to my friend last night. I said, one of the things, the problem for most people is how they perceive money. You got a big problem with how you perceive money. Let me tell you why. Because what most people perceive money with bad. You do. Even if you don't consciously say it, you think it because you've always heard it. Every like successful, if you go to the movies at all, or if you see many movies, usually the big, high-powered, successful business people are always bad guys. Have you noticed that? All right? They screw people out of the money to get the money. That's how the movie industry, like Wall Street and all that, that's how they're always portrayed. So then you get in your subconscious that if I make money, I'm bad. Right? Or your family's always told you, oh, you know how they got their money? They screwed those people out of there. As a matter of fact, this happened to my daughter when she was in grade school. We were already doing real well then. This is a funny story, but not so funny story. It's sad for the children of this parent that said this. Okay, you know, because we're in the loan business, right? And so this parent, and we were doing well, and it's obvious. When we used to live in Claremont, we lived in a 7,000 square foot house on an acre with a tennis court, and we had money. We obviously drove the Mercedes and all that stuff, right? And our kids were going to school in Claremont, and my daughter Janae was in grade. I don't know. She may have been 4th or 5th or 6th grade. I don't know what it was, but she had a friend, and the friend told her, Janae, you know, that my mom said that the way your dad makes money is he takes people's houses away from them. That's what the mother told the kid, because God forbid I did it honestly, right? I made money honestly. That's what she told her daughter's a little kid in grade school, right? And so, but the good thing is that Janae's retort was, if your parents knew what my dad did, they would be doing it. She doesn't know what she's talking about. Okay, that's what Janae told her, okay? I said, right on, Janae, baby. So, but you know how ridiculous that is? Huh? But that's how people think about money. Some of you have had thoughts about it like that. God forbid you have to work hard, right? People that make money work hard. If you own anybody ever own a business here? Am I the only one that's owned a business here? Like, what kind of hours do you put in when you own a business? Like, whatever it takes, right? Like, you might go weeks where you might work 80 hours or 100 hours, right? Have you ever done that before? More than that. That's what I'm talking about, right? It's not like when you own a business, if you don't get business coming in the front door, you can't pay your bills. It's not like a job. If you go to work, and even if you kind of cruise through your job through the week, they still give you a check at the end of the week. In a business, when you own a business, if you don't make it happen, there is no money. So that makes you work whatever hours it takes to make it happen, because there is no money if you don't do it. See? And so in order to have unlimited opportunity, you have to put up with that not knowing, right? But you have unlimited opportunity. If you want security and knowing, you have to give up opportunity. You can't have both. You can't. All right? So the key is finding the right business opportunity. That's the key. The one that really pays. Like this one. really, really pays, okay? So people equate money with bad. So, like, and that's one of the problems with our I mean, like, you know, one of the saddest things, you know who are really low-paid people in this country that shouldn't be, but they are, okay? Teachers, religious leaders, most of them anyways, you know, that sort of thing. And it's really sad because what people put a premium on. But that's the way it is, okay? So what you've got to do is you've got to eliminate the thought that making money is bad, because making money is bad only if you take advantage of somebody, only if you're doing something that's not legit to get that money, okay? If you look at our business, I want you to feel comfortable with it, because if you do our business properly, right, if you do an F&A for a client and you do it correctly, what's going to happen is they're going to have more insurance, most likely, right? They're going to have a larger retirement account, and they're going to become debt-free, which means stress-free. Now, if you can explain to me how that's bad, I want to know. Can anybody explain to me how that can be a bad thing? So if you help them do all this thing and you make a fee of $1,500 and they end up with, say, an additional $200,000 of protection, they have an additional $1 million at retirement because of what you do for them, and they save, say, $50,000 in interest, and there's no way to put a value on the stress-free part, and you make a small fee of $1,500, who, in fact, is a real winner here? The client is. So for you to feel badly about doing that is you're not seeing it clearly. You understand? Your thinking is askew. You need to start thinking of it in terms like that. See, when I thought about doing stuff, I always thought about what it was going to mean to that client, how it was going to make a difference, right? That's the way, or recruit, right? Even if you have a recruit, if a recruit comes on board, like right now, I tell you right now, if Martin Flores quit PFS and never did anything else, what he's learned here and what he's done with his own personal life in terms of buying a home and saving money and understand the concept of being debt-free and understand the concept of acquiring assets and all that, even if he stayed at Frito Low, which would be ludicrous to do that. I don't think he's intending to do that, right? Okay? Even if he did, his life is infinitely better off for his experience at PFS. It is. It's a fact, right? And the same thing, Lynn Massey, is that true for you as well? There's no question that you're going to be a millionaire regardless, right? I was talking to Rob yesterday. Rob works for me, right? Rob is on his way to being a millionaire, okay? He's absolutely on his way to doing that, right? I know Mel and Ramon, you guys have very little to no debt, right? And you're saving more money than you've ever saved before. And your stress and your financial stress in your life is at a minimum, right? It can't be much, right? Same thing for Robert. Robert, you're saving more money than you've ever saved before, right? Of the $9,000, you probably saved $5,000, right? 50%. You're mapping right now. Hey, do you understand? Even if they never decided to really get after it, that is great. And every one of you have the same story. Right, Daniel Toscano, you just refinanced your house. How much is that going to save you? $107,000 because you're in PFS. So maybe you're not going to make $107,000 this year, right? But you're going to save that. Plus, what you invest is going to be infinitely more than $107,000, right? Because you've learned some concepts. You're going to do the right things with your money. As you make more money, you're going to invest. You're going to acquire assets versus acquiring liabilities. You're going to do things that are going to... Do you see what I'm saying? That's the reason you need to recruit people, because even if they don't, whether they become successful or not, that's up to them. I can't make you be successful. I can't make Martin go through the pain of the rejection of making the call. I can't do that for you. But what I can do is help you with your finances, and you can do the right things. You need to make the decision if you want to take it to the other level. But at a minimum, you're better off than you were when you got here, right? You know more. You're doing the right things. You know, if you want to take the slow way and be financially independent at 55 or 60, that's okay. But at least you know you're going to get there, right? That is fantastic. When before, who knows, right? Maybe, maybe not. That's the reason you should recruit everybody, because you can have that kind of impact on their life. Whether they're going to be a multimillionaire in PFS, that's their choice, okay? You can't choose that for anybody, but you can expose them to the business opportunity so that at least they can get involved and learn more than a typical client. You guys know a lot more that are here because you're learning all this stuff firsthand than a client does, right? A client, all they get is the exposure to you in the hour or 2 or 3 hour visits that you have with them, which is limited. all right? At least they have a plan, but they don't know the intricate details that you all know, right? And that's one of the main reasons it's really important to recruit people, because at a minimum they're going to learn that. So the point I'm trying to make here is that I'm trying to see you why it's valuable for the person that you're trying to recruit to get involved in our business. Whether they make it or not, that's not up to us. Okay? We can only expose them to what we have, right? We can't do any more than that. But you should at least do that. You should at least do that. If you care about them, get them involved, get them going, get them learning stuff, and then, whatever they do with it, they do with it, okay? It's up to